belief with the short form content usage. I didn't plan ahead and didn't have any brain rot to consume while I was playing this challenge, so I really had to just raw dog this entire 6 hours. Usually, I'm hooked up to about 8 different dopamine sources throughout the entire day to prevent the chance of a thought occurring, but now I was forced to actually use my brain, and it was literally melting me. Hearing the same camera flip, door light, camera flip, door light, door close sound over and over and over again was starting to give me tunnel vision. It was like one of those FNAF Dream AI videos. What's worse is that it was literally only 2 a.m. I feel like 2 a.m. in this challenge is like the Tuesday of the work week. If you're not up tweaking all weekend, usually you have enough energy that Monday isn't too bad. But then Tuesday is when the realization of how long the week actually is really sits in. TLDR, Tuesdays are worse than Mondays, and 2 a.m. is my Tuesday. The fact that I wasn't even halfway done yet didn't help either. When you have nothing to think about, you're just constantly rationalizing how much time it's going to take for you to finish this challenge. And when all you're thinking about is time, all you're looking at is the stopwatch, which is going to start making time move stupid slow. Eventually, I finally crossed the halfway point for this challenge, and it was time for 3 a.m. In addition to my brain melting away, 3 a.m. was when I started to have some physical difficulties. I don't think humans are meant to move their mouse this fast for this long. Sure, I had attempted challenges for 6 hours at a time before, but during those challenges, I didn't need to stay focused the entire time, and I could take breaks between attempts. At this point in the run, my wrist, hand, back, index finger, and eyes were all starting to hurt. The killer here was having to double-click the lights. In any click team game, whenever you click something, the game is always going to register a second click 10 frames from the first. However, you can't click the same pixel, as this will register as a double click, not 2 separate clicks. A good example of this is the custom night menu. If you just keep your cursor in the exact same spot, the AI will count up really slow no matter how fast you click. But if you move your mouse slightly, it'll count up really fast because it's registering all those clicks individually. This is why the lights in FNAF 1 and Rockstar Chica's sign in UCN can feel so inconsistent. So you have to click in a really specific way, while also slightly moving your mouse in order to save optimal power when using the door lights. And we're doing this, let's see, roughly 1.5 seconds, 21,500, yeah, 14,333 times probably isn't good for the index finger. Plus, I was so locked in this whole time that I was sitting up in my chair, so I didn't have any lower back support. So at this point, my back and neck were killing me. I figured I should also mention here that I didn't want to stream this challenge. One, because it would be a really boring stream to watch, like literally here. Try and watch this full 15-second clip without going on your phone or skipping. I guarantee you can. But also because reading chat would probably distract me. Sure, having something to think about would be nice, but if I ended up losing a 4 to 5 hour long run because of the notification sound, I would literally break every piece of equipment in my setup. But at least when going through 3 a.m., you have the second wind kick in when you realize that you're finally over the hill and on to the second half of this challenge. At this point, I was on pace with 1% to spare, so power was looking good. If I could keep this power pace, I should be able to close this one out first attempt. Nothing to do, I'll continue on. At 4 a.m., I had pretty much stopped thinking. Call me Cars, because I literally could not imagine anything to distract me from this game. I don't know what it was about this hour, but it seemed to take longer than all the other ones. Maybe it was because I was so close to 5 a.m., but it just dragged on and on. At this point, I didn't trust myself to do the Bonnie optimization anymore. My eyes were so dry from staring at the screen for so long, I was starting to have to force myself to blink more often. So I didn't want to risk missing Chica on the cameras ever. Plus, I had set this strategy firmly into my muscle memory, and I could do it with my brain completely turned off. So it was working pretty well. Foxy was also camping super hard in stage 3 during this hour, so it didn't really help to make the night any more relaxed as time went on. Around the 4:30 mark, my knees started to bounce uncontrollably. Usually this would happen when I get nervous near the end of a challenge. At the end of Rat and Cat All challenges, rest in peace Laser Pointer by the way, gone but not forgotten, Every muscle in my body was shaking, but I was really trying to control my nerves here. It's one thing to be nervous in the last 2 minutes of an 8-minute night. It's another thing to be nervous for a full hour and 30 minutes. I don't really have much else to say about these individual hours, but eventually, after what felt like literal years, it was finally time for 5 a.m. On entering 5 a.m., I was on pace with power. See, the reason that I was so scared about power was a really stupid mistake. Before starting this challenge, I never actually tested if the power out sequence buff worked. In theory, Freddy should wait for 41 times as long as normal, the same ratio as the power. But because I'd never tested if it was functional or not, I had this deep-rooted fear that the power out multiplier might not work, and Freddy could just do his normal blackout sequence, which here gives us literally no time limit per scale. So I needed to be on my perfect green light timing. At 5:05, Foxy entered stage 3, and combined with 5 a.m. nerves, this was super scary. Luckily, he didn't waste too much time. A problem across this entire run was my returning Foxy luck. Almost every time that Foxy hit the door, he'd start back in stage 1, and this was no exception. Though, even with Foxy giving us less than favorable luck, I was actually feeling pretty good. My nerves had started to fizzle out after realizing I had an entire hour left, and I was starting to move without even thinking. It was impossible for me to make a mistake. If I were to maintain the current cycle that I was in, I was unbeatable. I was fast enough to match everyone's kill timers with time to spare, and even if I had to stall stage 3 Foxy, it wasn't much of an issue. Down went 5:10, then 5:20, and then 5:30. 30 minutes left. I had felt like I had aged a whole 30 years over this challenge, but it was gonna be a one attempt and done. Free challenge. I was on pace with power. I had this in the bag. If I could just finish this out, I would never have to touch this horrible challenge ever again. Down went 5:40, not much longer, we're in the home stretch here. If I assumed the power outage sequence worked, I could close both doors and win the entire game right now. Foxy had just entered stage 2. The way it was looking, I was going to have to endure one more Foxy attack in order to win the game. With 4% power left, I had to play this perfectly. By 5:43, Foxy was in stage 3, but if I stuck to my guns and kept stalling him, I'd have this down. Foxy managed to camp stage 3 for 5 whole minutes. At this point, I knew, if I could get him to hit the door now, he would be likely to leave us alone for the rest of the run. I was going to force him to the door and finish this challenge. At this point, I knew, if I could get him to hit the door now, he would be likely to leave us alone for the rest of the run. I was going to force him to the door, and I was going to finish this challenge. Do you know what enemy in video games has caused me the most pain in my YouTube career? If you've been around recently, you'd probably say Nightmare Foxy, or just Foxy honestly. This dude is a pain in the ass in like every iteration of FNAF. Or maybe Toy Bonnie, Rat-a-Cat, Balloon Boy. If you're an OG, you might even say Gwyn from Dark Souls. But the answer is none of them. The enemy trying to cause me the most pain out of all of them is Freddy Fazbear.
What's that? What the f? Oh my god! Fuck! No! No!
God, please. Yes! 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 Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
I'm not
Oh
doing
my
that.
god!
No!
Oh my god!
This was the hardest that I have ever been
Finally.
broken, probably in my entire life. I've been lying to you guys. This wasn't my first attempt. You see, we didn't exactly know how much power we should put into this mod. So originally, I was only playing with 40 times power.
Let's
And I played around
go.
3 hours of that version before realizing I couldn't win on that power pace.